11, verse 21. In fact, let's hit that real quick. Daniel chapter 11. Verse 21, I believe. There it is. And in his, now remember, Antiochus Epiphanes is like the successor of the king of the north, and he is coming in, and he's got great words, just like Hitler did. Great orator. And with flatteries will call us a person to do things that you would never do or think of doing. But in his estate shall stand up a vile person, to whom they shall not give the honor of the kingdom, but he shall come in how?
Peaceably.
He's not going to come in trying to take things over. He didn't come in there and saying, trying to be a dictator up front, some sort of autocratic rule. That wasn't the idea. He wanted to come in peaceably and tell them, I've got an answer to all your economic problems, all the conditions of your nation. I can make an end to all the negative and troublesome attacks that you're having and issues that you're having in the nation of Israel. And he's going to obtain his kingdom by what? Flatteries. Get the picture? Now let's go back over here to Ezekiel. And remember, he's making what? An agreement with Israel at the beginning of this 7-year period. And about halfway in there, then what? All hell breaks loose. Oh, it's going to be bad that first 3.5 years, but oh, it's going to get much worse. He's going to change his mind, and then all hell is going to break through. All right, let's go back to verse 11. And it says of Ezekiel chapter 38, let's read the second clause there. I will go to them that are at rest, and that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. That's a picture of certain security. But what happens? Let's go over there to verse 18. Stay in that same chapter. And it shall come to pass at the same time when, who's that? God shall come against the land of who? Israel, saith the Lord God, that my fury shall come in my face. In my face. Does that sound familiar? What did Jesus say? What you have done to the least one of Israel, you have what? Done it to me. In my face. These are my people. You know, people always want to rattle you when you start picking on their nation, when you start calling God Russia. But there's some historical precedent that links God to Russia. It may be known as an entirely different place, but it was known in ancient time as well. It could be prophetic, but it's certainly going to be one of those northern countries. They're going to come down, and they're going to come against that nation. And Jesus talks about it over in Matthew 24. All right? Let's pick that up really quickly, and we'll go ahead and close up for this session. All right, Matthew 24. And let's go in verse 21. For there shall be great tribulation, such as were not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor shall ever be. Except those days should be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved, but for the who?
Elect.
Who do you suppose those are? 144,000. The Jews, the remnants. They have to be elected. There's future prophecy for them. Every one of them has to come out. He'll sift the whole house of Israel. Not one will be left. He has to do it because he promised. All right? And so for the elect's sake, all Israel will be saved. Not all Israel now, but in those days. After he sets his foot on the Mount of Olives, he establishes his kingdom. All Israel in those days will be saved. And that's what Paul was talking about in Romans 11. All right? And so, except the days be shortened, no flesh can be saved. Now, flesh can't be saved spiritually. So we're talking about death, the death of a man. No flesh would be saved during the tribulation period. Now, the days, the hours in a day, 24 hours, are not going to be shortened. But he's specifically talking about the 3.5 years, except those days, the 1,200 and something days, except those days be shortened. In other words, they will be shortened to the maximum of 7 years. Because if they would have continued beyond 1,200 and something days, 60 days, the entire 7-year duration, then no one would be saved. Why? Because of all the atrocities that are going on. No flesh would be saved. But for the remnant's sake, because there's future business for those individuals, God did what? Shorten the days. Oh, they wasn't going to stop at 7. They were taking it to 17 as much as they could cause havoc to that nation. They would do it until they're completely annihilated, obliterated. But what does the Lord do? In his mercy, according to those prophecies that we read, that third day of rest is coming. And it's coming for Israel. And they'll enter that in the tribulation period. That's my message tonight. We'll continue that on next time. God bless you. We'll pick that up in verse